Hi everyone, it's Nate. I'm going to talk a little bit about the way that I like to teach vocabulary during ELA. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our Google Slides that we use, and then the what we call vocabulary cards, but it's just a Google Doc. So let's talk about the slides first. So this will be our typically our title, and then we have vocab cards here, and then we give the kids a part of speech poster. We will normally put this inside of a Nearpod, so they'll have access to moving through each of the different words, so they can go back and revisit these slides when they want. But looking at some of the slides specifically, I took the slide or the Google Slides and I broke it into pretty much positives and negatives based on our texts. So one of the positives that I noticed with UDL was pre-teaching for scaffolding. Um, we always start our ELA units with the vocabulary words, and we'll give it to the kids in two different formats. So we'll go over this whole group, and then the kids will work on their vocabulary cards and partners. So pretty much hitting visual learners. We're hitting auditory learners by talking about this whole group. Auditory with the vocab cards, and then the kids who like to actually learn through practicing their context clues. Um, some of the other things that I thought were positive about it is the outline and the graphic organizer. It's consistent amongst all the slides. As you can see, we use the same format every time, and then the vocab cards is consistent each time. So there's a graphic organizer that connects directly to our vocabulary slides, which also hits on Rice's idea of multiple entry points. So again, we can hit the visual learners, we can hit the auditory learners, we can hit the let's actually write it out, let's do it learners. And then another positive I thought was the contrast. So you can see the dark gray with the white. Everything kind of stands out. The only thing that I would say is the orange, I think, could be distracting, and just the multiple pictures on some of the slides could be distracting. Like if you look here, the word smoldering here, that for certain students that might be a little distracting for them. And then the vocabulary, another idea from Rice is that the vocabulary words are taught in a manageable reading level, which again, we're taking a previous text that we read, connecting it to our current text, and using those ideas to help the kids learn the vocabulary vocabulary words. So overall, with slides, looking at UDL, I would say the perception is positive for like the visual aspect, but I think it's negative elsewhere. And then I think another positive from UDL is activating prior knowledge and engagement with the Google Slides. I think the pictures itself and the fact that the kids have the ability to move through the slides, that's pretty engaging to them. Some of the negatives is, like I already said, the orange would be distracting. I would like to insert the alternative text to the pictures. Never really thought about it before. Never really had a reason to think about it with my particular class, but I could see why putting a caption here and actually now talking about it would benefit a handful of my students. Um, Adding audio, I think the Google Slides it'll read the word and then go through. I don't think we'd have an issue there if we added that audio, because sometimes I give the kids the Google Slides in an asynchronous setting, and then maybe adding meaningful links. So like the kids clicked on the vocabulary word, rather if they're having a hard time using the context clues to figure out the meaning, maybe it'll take it to like a kid-friendly dictionary, and it will also provide them with the part of speech. So I would say from a oral standpoint, I would say UDL would say my perception is weak here. But yeah, so now let's take a look at the actual vocab cards, where I felt like there were more negatives to our vocabulary cards than I did positive. Um, so if I look at the specific setup here, it is busy. There's a lot going on. Um, nothing's really underlined. We have larger font here for the vocabulary word, but there, like I said, there's a lot going on. And looking back at it, we probably need to space this out a little more. So, unlike the slides where we had the vocab words underlined, we don't here. I think that's an easy fix for us. But as far as the um, accessibility handbook said, adding audio here, this would not be read correctly. This would be read out of order. I mean, it would provide a consistent order, but it would be all over the place. And because these are just underscores, I'm, in all honesty, not really sure how that would be read. So I would have to check the reading order out. Again, meaningful links. So if we could send the kids to particular websites for the words. I didn't use headings here of any sort. I mean, this is just a bunch of separate tables that I copy and pasted. But I think just giving a heading at the top could help our kids out with saying, like, here's the vocab word, part of speech, definition, sentence on this side. I don't know if that's necessarily needed, but it could help some of our students. And just embedding vocabulary support. So again, if we didn't have this access to the slides and the kids that were only working on the vocab cards, maybe if they highlighted a word or clicked a certain part of this, it would take them to a picture or the dictionary, like I said earlier. And then some of the positives for the actual vocab cards themselves. Again, UDL was talking about like pre-teaching and activating prior knowledge. I think we're definitely doing that, especially with the connection to the slides. We're taking the vocabulary, teaching that first every single time so that when we go to actually read the text, the kids don't come across these words and are like, what does that mean? And then Rice also talks about the benefits of using an outline. So even though I keep saying it's busy, because looking at it, this is kind of driving me nuts. But even so, using the outline or a graphic organizer to support the kids could benefit them. There's multiple entry points again, like Ray said. And then the text and color contrast is good. I mean, black on white, but again, I would need to space this out. So as far as UDL, I really looked at the engagement aspect for that. I think there's positives and negatives to it. I think it's positive in the sense that the kids, they're drawing a picture on their own here, part of speech, finding the definition. They're the ones really doing the work and really going after it. But at the same time, as you keep going down through and it's the same process over and over again for, I guess, 10 words here, the engagement might die down and it might become stressful for certain students. So I think that's something that I would want to revisit as well. So if you have any other questions, let me know. Thanks.